So when it comes to social narratives and confronting them, for a lot of guys, this can be challenging. So myself personally, because I'm now in my early 30s, I've been facing these for the last couple years of my life. So some of the common social narratives that you've probably heard is that you need to take the safe route, you need to go to college, you need to get married, have kids by X this age. You need to obviously be a good guy or be a nice guy, have a car, have kids, live in this neighborhood, date girls your own age, etc., etc. So again, there's nothing wrong with what I said. And if guys resonate with these topics, then that's perfectly fine. However, though, where I've taken issue for myself personally is that when people tell you you need to do it when for yourself personally, if you feel like you're not ready yet, or maybe that's not the type of route that you want to take, I want to mention to you guys, and this is the topic of this video, is that you don't need to take the conventional way, especially in today's day and age where you have a lot of things where you didn't need to do like people were doing in the last 30, 40, 50 years, that there's other ways of living your life, and you shouldn't let other people pressure you into doing things and going down routes that necessarily is not for you, or it's not necessarily one that you want to take at that given point of your time in your life. So sometimes a lot of these narratives that they're going to come from are people that we love most. That can be family, that can be friends. Also, depending on the type of culture that you grew up into, obviously we're always getting influenced by TV shows, movies, advertisements. It's all around us, especially in the social media age. However, though, with social media, with the internet, other opportunities, new opportunities that were probably not available decades ago have also opened up, especially stuff like entrepreneurship or having more of an abundant dating life, or taking, careers where obviously didn't exist 20, 30, 40 years ago, where the standard was to go to college, get a job, stay there for 40 years, and then obviously save enough to retire. And again, there's people that still do that, and I was doing that early on in my 20s, where I took a corporate job right after college. And for a little bit, it was fine to kind of get my career started. But then I realized that that was not really the path that I didn't want to take for the rest of my life, that I wanted to live a life that was one that involved more travel, exploring new cultures, living a life a little bit more of substance, to where I'm not in the same place the whole time, where I'm meeting new people, learning new languages, seeing the world. And that's one that kind of really resonated with me. Now, again, going back to earlier, what I mentioned, this is a little bit abnormal for most people. And a lot of people think it's weird, or people are telling you you need to settle down. And these are narratives that I've been having to deal with for the past couple years, especially when a lot of people that you knew, friends that you grew up with, even family members, they quote unquote are living the more normal life that you were told to do, and they'll kind of question what you're doing, maybe asking if you're okay, or letting you know that, hey, you need to mature, stop, doing these immature things, you're getting older, why are you doing this, etc. And I personally just kind of had to block those out. That's not to say that you can't take advice from people that you love, but I've always been in a position, and this is where I advise you guys, is that if anybody's ever given you advice, would you trade your life for their life? Or is their advice coming from a standpoint of, do they want something that's better for you? Or do they want to give you advice to make sure that you live the same life that they're living, because maybe they don't have the opportunity to maybe travel more, date younger girls, or have an opportunity for a career where they're maybe able to work remotely and they don't have to be dependent on a corporate job. So for myself personally, I just really had to make those decisions based on what I wanted. Obviously, I listen to any advice, especially if it's coming from closed ones, family and friends. But in the end, you're the one that has to live your own life. You have to live with the consequences. You're the one that's waking up every single day. And if it's a life that you're not ideally excited about each and every day, then this is where I'm telling you maybe there's some things that you have to fine tune. And again, when it comes to going against these social narratives, it can be tough because, in a case like for me personally, very few people that I know, especially ones that I went to school with and people that I've been friends with, are living this type of lifestyle. And naturally, you can potentially drift away from them because you're not living the same type of life. Your experiences are going to be a little bit different than theirs. And then eventually, there may be a point in time where you're not really communicating with them anymore because you guys are just on different paths. And I'm telling you that this is normal. But in the end, if this is the kind of life that you want to live, these are some of the things that you're going to have to think about. But I'm just letting you know that it's okay because, again, you're the one who's living your own life. Nobody's going to live it for you. So some specific examples of me personally of going against the social narratives that you guys can take away from is that I'm dating younger girls. I was growing up in my culture. It's been told that I have to date girls my own age or date mature girls, but no, for me personally, I like to date younger girls. So I'm dating younger girls. I'm not married yet. I just turned 31, and for me, marriage is still a little bit not even on my mind. I'm not even thinking about that. And myself personally, I still feel super young because I'm just now starting to date the type of girls that I'm attracted to since hitting age 30. So a lot of the times, me growing up, they say by age 30, you need to be married, you need to have kids. And again, for people who do want that, that's perfectly fine. But I know a lot of guys who are pressured by friends and family, and this is a big decision, one of the biggest, if not the biggest decision that you'll ever make in your life. And if you're not ready for it, both from a financial standpoint and or from a maturity standpoint, I say don't do it. As a guy, you have time. So that's another one. I'm not in the corporate world anymore. I was in the corporate world for 6 to 7 years. Again, it was good in the beginning, but I kind of realized that this was not for me for now. And I decided that I want to live a different type of life, especially when I'm still quote unquote younger. So that's why I'm not in the corporate life. I'm doing my own business. I have a few businesses that I run, including this one. And I've been doing this for the last year. And I can tell you how much more fulfilled I am. Obviously, there's different challenges and different problems that come along with this. But for me, they're exciting because I'm creating a business. I'm creating the type of lifestyle that I visualized that, we talked about in topic one, that I'm actually putting into practice by establishing that routine of this is what needs to get done. So the last year has been the best year of my life. Obviously, there's challenges that came along with it, but these are good challenges to have. And it's not just me waking up every day looking forward to Friday for the weekend, as I was doing in the last year of my corporate job that I know that a lot of people are experiencing. So again, if you're open to a more entrepreneurship type of lifestyle, especially the age of the internet, of all the opportunities that the internet brings, it's perfectly doable. So this is another narrative that I pushed against, that, I don't want to work in the corporate world, where I want to build a business for myself that allows me to live a more type of lifestyle that's attractive to me. I have an abundance mindset with money, with girls, with a lot of things. And again, a lot of the social narratives is to, be super uptight about your money, or, the first girl that grabs your attention, marry her. No, I think that living in abundance, especially as a guy, is one that you need to learn, because I think a lot of people, including myself, we come at, with girls, with money, with a scarcity mindset. But I think that living in an abundance is going to give you a more fulfilled life. Obviously, there comes with boundaries. You can't be extreme. You can't just spend all your money, and you can't just, live in that kind of extreme. I think there's a balance to everything. However, though, when you have that abundance mindset, when it comes to money, when it comes to girls, you're going to see that people come and go, money comes and goes, but when you have that abundance, it's going to open up your mind to opportunities. And again, if you're more on that entrepreneurial aspect, it's going to create more money opportunities. Even if you're in the corporate world, having an abundance, always putting yourself out there, polishing new skills, polishing your resume, looking for opportunities, never just limit yourself to one company, kind of always talking, seeing what's out there. Again, having an abundance. There's an abundance of jobs, there's an abundance of women, there's an abundance of money that's going around in the world. So again, having that mindset, which is one that at least at school or friends and family don't talk about. This is one that I learned, especially in the last couple of years. And another example for me pushing against the grain, kind of going back to the corporate world, is that I don't want a boss telling me what to do. It could be a personality thing, but I think a lot of people ideally would want to have a little bit more flexibility in terms of like their schedule, what they do on a weekly and monthly basis. So this was one of the main things that kind of got me out of the corporate world, was kind of having a boss telling you when to take vacation, how much of a raise you can have, etc. Again, when you get into the corporate world, when you don't, especially when I didn't know anything about this more entrepreneurial stuff on the internet, there are some benefits to it, but I think eventually, if you're somebody that wants to have power and freedom over your time, then I think that start to think about creating some opportunities where you have a little bit more say in terms of where you're working, how much money you're making, and what you're doing each and every day, that you don't need to be stuck and glued to a desk where they're forcing you to sit for 8 to 9 hours a day. So this is something that I knew that was going to take a little bit of time to create, because in the last couple of years, I knew that this was the type of lifestyle that I wanted to live. And since I knew that this was not the quote unquote normal thing to do, potentially I was prepared to receive a little bit of backlash, both from friends and family, because one, they're not living this type of lifestyle. They only know of a certain type of lifestyle that I talked about earlier, the kind of like the more normal established one. Go to school, get a job, get married, and then work in the corporate world for 40 years, etc., etc. Again, there's nothing wrong with that if that's something that you want to do. However, though, I just knew that that wasn't for me, and that, as mentioned a few times, is that you're the one that's going to live your life. Nobody's going to live it for you. So if that's not something that you want, then start to really think that, okay, how can I implement some changes in my life that I'm going to be more happy and more fulfilled, even if it could potentially create some jealousy and resentment from others, including your loved ones, which can actually hurt at most, or hurt the most. I know that if I'm happy, that I'm able to help others, and I'm going to be in a better position to give out more to the world and potentially help out those who are closest to me. So don't be afraid of confronting these social narratives, and don't be afraid against going against the norm, because sometimes if you're going against the norm, but if it's making you happy, then you know that you're on the right path, because again, nobody else is going to live your life. This is a life for you to live. So be willing to confront some of these social narratives, and be willing to take a chance, and take a chance to not only live a better life for you, but then if you are living a better life for yourself, then you're able to provide more value and more love for those who are closest around you.